What's up, guys? So I'm finally back after my very long hiatus, but I decided to finally revive the channel, I guess, and I couldn't really think of anything else to do, so we're going to be doing a story today, and sorry if the microphone quality is not very great. I'm using my phone right now because my microphone decided to not work. So this story takes place, I guess, recently, and it's pretty insane. I'll basically just say that I almost died. It was pretty terrifying. So basically, it starts out me and a few buddies go to this. I guess is a terrible excuse for a party. It was just kind of a stupid like hangout with a bunch of kids I didn't even know, and they were all kind of idiots. Where it was like by this school, this like kind of lonely school that I don't really think a lot of people go to. But it was by this school, and then like behind the graduate like parking lot, there's like kind of like a hill that goes up, and you kind of just like walk through this like really overgrown trail, and then there's sort of like a meadow on top of this big hill, and it kind of overlooks like the whole campus and like some of the suburbs, and you can like kind of see a highway off in the distance. And this was a pretty popular place to have like I guess parties and stuff like that. So we go to this party, and I meet this kid, and we're friends today. And I'm not gonna use his real name. We're gonna call him Jerry. So I meet Jerry there, and we're having a blast. I might have been a little bit intoxicated, because going to a party sober is kind of boring. But anyways, me and him get along pretty well, and I immediately kind of associate him with his car. That's kind of how I remember people. I remember them by their cars. And he had this really like it was just a regular car. It was a Saturn Ion, but it was a really weird car. So Saturn is like one of those failed GM brands that you just don't see anymore. And this car was really like super weird. The interior, I guess, it was like an early 2000s car, so and just like cheap plastics everywhere. But the gauge cluster was like in the center of the dash. It was like super strange. So like you had to look over to the right to see your speed and everything. It was such a strange car, but it was kind of cool. But at the end of the day, it was just a regular car. But yeah, he had a Saturn Ion. Basically, when I meet him at this party, where he's like, "Yo, maybe you and your friends and whatever, we should all hang out." And I was like, "Okay, sure." A few days later, we go to the same spot, and he drives us there. And when he's driving us there, or I think he just drove me there, and then like the rest of my friends went with my other buddy in his truck. But like on the way there, he's a new driver, and I don't give him flack for this anymore. Like it's all said and done. It's in the past, but I could immediately tell that he wasn't like used to his car, and he wasn't like very experienced. I mean, he was an N driver or a new driver. We call new drivers N drivers here in Canada because they have to display this little N. So I could tell, when he was whipping it around corners, he would kind of like gas it at the wrong time, and like the car would understeer, and it would just like break traction really easily in the front end because it's a front wheel drive car. So he didn't really know what he was doing, I guess. But I didn't really pay too much attention to it. So we go to this place again, and it was like super boring. It's like whatever, man. Like let's just get out of here. And I think when we initially pulled up there was like almost nobody there. So we left, and we decided to meet up at this like A&W. And right across from this A&W, there was a big kind of like empty lot. It was just like a free parking area. You could park a car there and just leave it like for days. So we get our A&W, and we're kind of having like a little tailgate party in there. It's like midnight. There's like nobody out. So we figure we can just kind of be loud and just, be obnoxious. And, we're running around like screaming, just doing stupid teenager stuff. And then all of a sudden, a light turns on in a truck next to us. And it was a guy sleeping in his truck, like this brand new Ram truck. It was kind of odd. And, he honked at us because we like woke him up. And we're like, okay, well, I guess we should probably leave. We pissed this guy off too much. I think we were heading back to my friend's house. And on the way back, we were taking some back roads. And I guess I'll put a picture of what the back roads kind of look like. I guess to sort of paint a picture, it was these really twisty roads, one lane on each side. And it was just very heavily wooded. So it was super dark. There's absolutely no street lights in there at all, so you had to use your brights, like your high beams. And there's a lot of corners where like the posted like suggested speed would be like 20 kilometers an hour. Of course, we're kids, so we just ignore it because we think we're cool and we're like rally drivers or something. So, we're just flying, like absolutely flying through this freaking place. And the reason we're going so fast is because my buddy in his truck was just driving really irresponsibly and just way too fast. We wanted to keep up, and he had like A&W bags just flying out of the bed of his truck because he just like left it all in his truck bed. So like it was just flying all over the place. We were kind of just following like a trail of garbage. It was really stupid. So we're trying to catch up to him. My buddy's on the phone and he's like, where are you, man? And he's like, oh, we're just by the candy store. We're like, okay, we'll be there. So we're driving, and he's driving pretty fast. Jerry in his Saturn Ion, and it's a little car. It's just a tiny little 4-door, like just a little compact car, but it's not really the sportiest thing ever. So he's really pushing this thing around the corners, and I was just kind of having fun. I didn't really think too much about it. Just out of nowhere, there's this one corner. I think it's about like halfway through the whole run, I guess you could say. It's kind of like a mountain pass in a way. So we're flying through here, and there was this corner that just was so unexpectedly sharp. Like it just progressively got sharper. I guess he just assumed it was going to straighten out, but it didn't. Like, it's kind of tough to remember this part because this is where my brain kind of said, oh shit, and just sort of like really made everything seem like a blur. From what I recall, the car started to understeer pretty hard. That means it wasn't turning hard enough. We weren't going to make the turn. He slams on the brakes, and this kind of made the car go into like an oversteer mode, I guess. Like it just sort of like all the tires were screeching. Like no tires had traction. At that point, there was like nothing really left to do but just hold on the brakes and just kind of pray. Like we were just going way too fast. I don't think there was any way out of that corner regardless. So at this point, we're going about 80 kilometers an hour, I'd say, before we start slowing down. But once he hits the brakes, we start slowing down a bit, but not much. And so this corner is going right, by the way. And there's like these little signs with like arrows on them, like showing like, hey, it's a sharp turn. We just narrowly miss those, and we just absolutely fly off this road. And in my brain, I'm going like, okay, we're good. And then like when we fly off, like it's the middle of the night, I just saw nothing. It was just black. We catch air. We feel weightless. There's like just shit flying through the car. It just felt like a scene in a movie. I'm still seeing nothing. And this is all happening in like a fraction of a second. Like maybe like 1 second. But to me, it just felt like minutes almost. And then all of a sudden I see trees. And I'm like, I get this like feeling in my brain like, you might die right now. And that feeling was like nothing I've ever felt before. It felt so weird. Thank God we just narrowly missed like 2 of these trees. And we catch the ground and we're like bouncing and like it's super rough. But it was honestly, considering how fast we were going off that edge, it was a pretty soft landing. There was a lot of like loose branches and leaves and kind of just like dirt and stuff that really cushioned it. So I'm very thankful for that. But if we were like, just a couple inches more to the left, we would have just absolutely clipped those trees. Probably would have got seriously hurt or died. We landed and the car was, shut off. I'm pretty sure it shut off. I don't know. But when we landed, we were like, kind of took a second to just grasp like what happened. And I was just not saying anything. I was just looking around. Jerry's like, that did not just happen. And then all I could say was just, holy shit. Like, we just got in a crash. And, there's so much dust coming in. The windows were open. There was just so much dirt and crap just flying in through the windows. And, yeah, immediately the car was very obviously stuck. We tried getting it out, but there was just no way in hell. Even if that thing had 4-wheel drive, there was just no way. Like, we went flying off that ditch, like, far. So there's no way we were getting that thing out without a tow truck. You know, we had to call up our buddies and yell, like, yo, wait up, we just crashed, we got in an accident. They thought we were, like, in, like, huge danger, and in all seriousness, we kind of were, but, you know, we made it out unscathed. The most, like, injury, like, any of us got, like, I just had, like, a sore back for, like, a couple hours after. I think my friend was fine as well. When the tow truck guy came and we were like, kind of assessing the damage, you know, I initially just thought it was going to be, you know, maybe suspension and like the front bumper, because like the front bumper is kind of messed up, and the way the Saturn Ion looks, it kind of looks like it has a mouth, and it was like all filled with dirt, so it looked like it was like kind of puking. We got the tow truck, and they got it out eventually, and immediately we saw liquid pouring out from underneath the engine, and the guy told us that the radiator was punctured, and the radiator is basically what is responsible for cooling the engine, and if you don't cool the engine, well, the engine's just gonna, you know, catch on fire, overheat, and it's just gonna break. That really sucked, and my friend was absolutely terrified of telling his parents that he crashed. Basically what happened after that was they towed us to a 7-Eleven. We kind of just said, you know, just limp it home, just keep filling the radiator with water or something. But the reason they dropped it off at the 7-Eleven is because it was pretty close, and it probably would have been a lot more expensive to just go all the way to his house. So it was pretty close. It was only like, you know, a couple minute drive. And he ended up telling his dad that he hit like a curb. But, you know, of course they have to make a police report when crashes happen. So police end up coming to his house, and, you know, his dad probably found out exactly what happened, and for whatever reason, his dad decided to scrap the car, like, completely. Like, a punctured radiator is probably not that expensive to fix. I really don't think it is. Like, the car was actually technically still drivable, but they completely scrapped it, and that kind of sucked. But my buddy learned his lesson. He drives very carefully now, especially because he drives a Chevy Blazer, and that car's very dangerous. But yeah, that's basically how I almost died. And what a thing to remember. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of video. I might do like more stories like this if you guys want. So just leave in the comments what you think. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.